Hello and welcome to another episode of Raw Chatter. I have got a guest again with me today. This is a lady that I actually met very briefly, but we got on like a house on fire at a networking event, and her story is one that I just had to capture for you guys to hear. Frances Bentley is an author, a speaker, and a writer. And the beginning of her life is just incredible. So, Frances, thank you for joining me, and straight over to you.
Oh, it was so lovely to meet you. We did connect straight away, didn't we? It was like, so thank you for opening up this space, and it's wonderful to be here. I was born 1964, and unfortunately, I was born to a really violent father. And I was the first battered baby to ever be publicised in the UK. And before I was 3 months old, I'd already nearly died. Every bone in my body was shattered. And reading the papers now that I've gotten the information, I was either thrown against the wall with force or kicked around like a football.
That's quite an incredible start to anybody's life. And when we started talking at the event and you shared that, I was just like, wow, you have to tell me more, because you read about this, because obviously you don't remember this, but it's led you down quite an incredible journey of learning, of healing, and of helping people. So help people to understand just what was your childhood like, and then why do you now do what it is that you do?
Well, when you're born into that level of trauma, it was my reality. I was a happy kid in an unhappy world.
Right.
I thought all dads beat their kids up. Didn't know life could be any different. And this is what always gets me. I would turn up at school happy.
Right. You can't know what you don't know if you don't know any different.
You don't know what you don't know, do you? And then it was my auntie that I realised that told me about it. And there was a newspaper cutting because they blamed my mum and dad.
Right.
And because nobody had ever seen him hit me.
Okay.
So reading about it from different avenues, and my auntie wrote a book that was never publicised that documented everything my dad did to me, did to my mum, and did to her. And I only got that this year. I didn't know about it until this year. I picked it up in Birmingham. I know.
So was this your mum's sister or your dad's sister? Your dad's sister.
Yes.
Right.
And you know what he did to her was what he did to them all. So it gave me more of a backstory to what all of they went through as well. So that was quite a read. I think I was spaced out for about 3 days reading it.
I can imagine.
God. Yes.
And so were you an only child, Frances, or did you have siblings?
I had one sister that died about the same. She was 11 months younger than me and died at the same few months old. And I just feel, too much inside me feels like it was him. I've got another sister, but she doesn't talk about it. She's older than me, and we've got an amazing relationship.
Right.
She's great. And I had a brother, unfortunately, was stillborn.
Oh.
But, there's
lots of tragedy.
Yes, yeah. And it's apparently my mum and my sister and my auntie ran out of the house because dad was being violent, and they got a police escort to go back to the house to get me. But when they went to a lovely silver cross pushchair, they went there, and there I was, broken in the pushchair. So they didn't know what to do with me. So they said to my mum, you take her to the hospital, but you can't take her out until you sign for her again at the police station.
Right.
And then when she got there, the doctor that was looking after me came out and said, people like you should never have children. You'll never see your daughter again.
Wow.
And every bone in my body had been shattered and blood in the brain. I don't know if even I'm still here. It's ridiculous. It's incredible.
It just goes to show how incredibly resilient the body can be if it's allowed to heal, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think my saving grace was I was so young, the bones were soft.
Right.
That's the only reason I can think that there is, because there's a lovely boy called Tony Hudgell whose charity we support, and there was 50 years to my court case to his court case.
Gosh.
And they hadn't seen his pet, but he's lost legs below. And he's such an inspiring young boy. He's amazing. But his stepmom foster mom, literally fought against the parents. So his parents, even though nobody had seen them hit him, they got 10 years each.
Wow. So justice kind of was done, if you can call it justice,
If
because
you
you
can
never
call
forget.
it. No, no, you never forget.
And he's living obviously with that.
With that,
legacy.
you know, and he's such an inspirational young man, and it made me realise that all right, you've got your brain is, you know, it's living in trauma response. It's born into that level, so it's not a good place for you to reside. Yeah. But trauma response was my reality. I didn't know it was, didn't even know what trauma was then.
Right.
You know?
And I guess that's something that a lot of people listening can kind of understand. We're of a similar age, and we don't know how many homes this was going on in, because capital punishment was still very much a thing in schools, and our parents were definitely taught that, you know, that was the way that you dealt with your bad temper, or if a child was naughty, and it wasn't unusual. Whereas in today's world, you know, we look at it completely differently. But even back in when that doctor said what he said, you ended up going back though to the house, didn't you? You ended up living with them.
Went to Crown Court, and it got thrown out through lack of evidence because nobody had seen him hit me.
Right.
And then 18 months later, another story that I was told from my mom is that he took me upstairs, was screaming and crying. She called the police, but they wouldn't get involved in domestic matters, so they didn't come out.
Right.
Then she pretended to be a neighbour, and 2 hours later they came out, and he dug pins and out his cigarettes in my feet.
Wow. But they did they get evidence of that?
That was there, the pins, my feet. The police said, get her down, brought me down. They seen it. And apparently all that was said, the policeman said, have a good idea, take you outside and give you a good hiding. And my dad shoved his shoulders. Wow. It wasn't in place of structures that we have now. And obviously mine is stories that have been told to me about what's happened.
Yeah, of course.
So it's but I lived with my dad. We didn't actually leave till I was 13.
Wow.
Yes.
So as you got older, can you then remember him actually being physically violent, or was it more emotional stuff, or was it both?
It was not so bad as when I was younger, but the fear was setting. Yeah. You know, I was always beating mom. So we'd sit on the stairs and be hearing things like, and if you met him, you'd love him.
Often the case, though, isn't it, Frances?
Yeah. And they say it's weak men that beat their children and wives up. My dad was a street fighter. He was a hard man. You know, he was a shop steward and all that. I mean, he was a well-loved and respected man in the area. I remember coming up to my house and big cars outside the place. Everybody with all his friends.
Do you know what, Frances? That's just really kind of reminded me of what we see is covered up so much, whether we're talking about what goes on behind closed doors in the street that we live in, or higher up in things like Parliament and the establishment, because these are people that seemingly have fantastic status and are well liked and well loved by colleagues at work. But there's just this other side to them that nobody gets to see. And then if you do try and say something, you're the one who's likely to not be believed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, our neighbours, we had a lovely next door neighbour. She must have heard what was going on.
Of course. But people don't want to get involved, do they?
They don't want to get involved. And then when we did leave my dad, it took us 3 times to escape from him. And when we first left, we went down to Devon, where my grandmother and that is. And she wasn't a cruel person, but she was a lady of her time. And she had nothing to give.
Right.
So basically, it's made your bed, lie in it.
Wow.
So mum had nowhere to go. And through this story, people said, how did your mum stay there? Well, how could she do this? If you can look at the type of fear that just getting through an hour without any violence is a success.
Yeah.
My mum was 16 when she was with him.
This is so difficult for anybody who has never experienced it, because everybody is an expert on something that they've not been through. Absolutely. And everybody can give their advice, can't they? But unless you've actually been in that situation, you genuinely cannot understand how it feels or what you would do. And the chances are that all of these people who are going, well, you know, should just get out, if it was them, I think they would potentially do exactly what your mum did.
Yeah, she was 16 when she met him. She come from a poor background. Men like that go for women like that they can manipulate and all of this sort of thing. I mean, she was prime target, she was very beautiful, very this, that, and the other, but no life experience. And somebody that could be, now I read more about my dad and know he's a sociopath, the things that have come out and everything else. So, but when you're growing up with that trauma and you think that drives your car, that's you, the first man you're ever supposed to trust lets you down at such a level, it affected my relationship. I was so jealous and possessive, and if I was terrible because I couldn't give myself. And every time I got to a certain stage, I'd try and ruin it because then I could say, well, all men are the same.
Isn't it funny that obviously in hindsight you can look back and see that is what was going on, but when you were in it, that's not how it felt at all.
It just compounded the heartbreak and the upset and when your parents do something or your primary carer does something to you, you don't fall out of love with yourself.
Correct. Yeah, because you think we all do. And I think it's interesting. I think the more we're able now to listen and to educate ourselves on stuff that potentially we wouldn't even have chosen to listen to. But podcasts, I think, are so good in that they're widening the breadth of listening and education for a lot of people. And one of the things that I was listening to very recently was talking about this very fact that we as children believe that our parents know everything, that they have all the answers, and that, what they say is correct. And the truth of it is they are still growing up as we are growing up, and they don't know probably anything. And we only need to look now at parents of this generation who have grown up with all of the things that were invented when you and I were growing up, like, listening to music while you could walk, and the computers. Now we've got computers in our pockets, and just understanding that a lot of adults really had poor backgrounds themselves and genuinely do not have the skills that we believe. So of course, if we believe they know everything and they're always right, we're gonna go, well, it must be me then, because as a child you don't see that there's any other option. So it has to be.
From 0 to 7, our brain hasn't developed into a space where we can reason and we can do all these. We're literally just a sponge. So everything that happens around us at that time becomes our version of reality, becomes the glasses we see life through. Well, if you think being battered and all of that, and also the trauma that's left in that body, even though I can't remember it, all that was left in the body. Well, I didn't know I was dealing with that.
No, of course not.
You don't know you're dealing with it.
You can't know what you don't know. And it's only through, I'm guessing, through various circumstances and events in your life that you started to uncover this stuff. Tell us more about how you started to recognize that actually the stuff that happened to you as a child was affecting the choices you were making and what you were doing as an adult.
I would say round about in my 30s, I nearly broke.
Right. Wow.
I knew something wasn't right with me. I had my daughter. I was pregnant at 27. When I was growing up, I always knew there was more out there. So I was always grab life. I went off traveling and I went for 7 years and all this. And then I came back with a bit more than I bargained for. And she's 34 now. Another story. And I remember sleeping on the floor at the YMCA and thinking, oh, God, girl, what are you going to do? But I remember making a 10-year plan that this child would never suffer coming from a single parent. I still didn't know then that when I gave birth to her, I was still in trauma response.
Of course.
I was still all that. I didn't know. So thankfully, I made this list of things I was going to achieve in 10 years. And thankfully, luck was on my side and I did it in 6. Wow. My daughter's 34. She's never been smacked. She's only ever known love. My grandson's 4 and the same. And I look at him at 4 and see that he just knows support, love and care. I think, God, what I'd gone through at 4.
What a contrast.
Yeah, and you sort of give yourself a little bit of grace and a little bit more kindness to how you've come through life. I've always done the best I can, but sometimes decisions were made from a place of survival rather than a place of love.
Right.
So, there wouldn't be
that makes a lot of sense.
now. Yeah.
And so on your journey, did you
Mm.
find that you kind of turned to anything to help you to cope with how you were feeling and what you were doing? Because oftentimes when we go through these childhood traumas, we do tend to look to external things to help us to feel better. Was that your case too?
When I look back now, I think it was food.
Right.
I did put weight on, sort of. I've lost a lot now, but I did put weight on, which I feel was trauma response to all of that. Because if we had a good hiding, if we got beat up, we got sweets and things to make him feel better or give us money or whatever. If we did something good, we got food, we got this. So, and I never put weight on. I was always tiny. So I'd eat and never put any weight on. So as I got older, I was still eating the same, and I put more and more weight on. And then I realised as I've dealt with the trauma and gone through it, more of the weight has fallen off. I've used things, but it's that trauma response holds you in that space. But I would say, I remember feeling broken. I went and sourced a Buddhist temple, and I went to learn to meditate in this Buddhist temple. And I remember going in there. It was a bit of an out-of-body experience, and they'd done all this beautiful food. And then we had to take our shoes off and go and sit down in this space where they did all the talks and everything. And I just thought, oh, and I fell in love with meditation.
Wow.
And it became the tool that took me then onto something. I think everything I did was another step to something else.
Yeah. And this is the joy of the journey, isn't it, Frances? Because when you're doing it, whatever it was that compelled you to go into that place in the first place, we have no idea. No. But because you did, you were able to then find another thing that was going to help you.
And this is how people that are abusing somebody in their life or whatever, they want to keep you scared to walk in a room. They want to keep you scared to open a door because they don't want you to step out of their control.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I look back at 13, we left. Mum had got an amazing solicitor, but we had to get into, I didn't know at the time, but now I look back, he was. And it's the little signs that come out. We walked up the Hadley Road in Birmingham, and Dad had sold the car, so we couldn't leave. And Mum had got and then you didn't have to pay off the hire purchase. And Mum had still got the payment in her purse for the car payments.
Right.
So we're walking up this road, Hadley Road. It was raining. Walked into this guest house, and there was this gorgeous Indian man there with the most beautiful smile. And we gave him this story that we were on holiday. We were this, that, and the other. Obviously, to anybody with any sense, we had nothing with us, and we were soaking wet. We've gone up into the room. We didn't even have 2p to put in the meter. And we opened one of the drawers, and there was a mouldy apple and an orange in the drawer.
No.
So we peeled the orange and started sharing it. And I said, what about if somebody knocked the door and wanted their orange back? Because even in those dark moments, we laughed.
Wow.
And the door went. Yeah. And the door went. And it was this owner come in with tea and biscuits and put 2p in the meter.
Oh, bless.
And that wasn't just tea and biscuits and 2p in the meter. It was, you're going to be okay.
Right. There was a sign. And
it was a sign. And a couple of years later, I went looking for him, and I got upset, and I couldn't find. All I could remember was this gorgeous Indian man with this lovely smile. And I thought, I wanted you to know the impact you'd had on our life. I didn't know at the time, but now I look back, it was a shining light that you're going to be all right. And I remember getting upset to one of my aunties, and she said, pass it on. Anytime you get a chance to pass on that to somebody else, do. And I always have, in honour of him. It was amazing.
And this is a beautiful example, isn't it, of you just never know how your actions may impact somebody else's life. And it might not seem necessarily a big thing or a grand gesture. It doesn't have to be, does it? It's just about being kind and thoughtful and just a nice human.
Yeah, just a nice human. He could tell, I'm sure, the wrecks we were when we come in.
Yeah.
And then we must have been bad because our solicitor picked us up the next morning. We went to a Salvation Army hostel. We went into hiding for 6 months.
Wow.
And they gave my mum a Valium and me and my sister half of one each.
Really?
So we must have been in a state, but I loved that place. I was so happy there, because it was other women that were in the same boat as Mum, other kids, and the place was just full of kindness and support, and so I only have very, very fond memories of it.
So it's that collective, isn't it? It's been a part of a community, and there was an understanding. You didn't need to even speak about necessarily what had gone on, because you all knew that you were there for similar reasons. And so you all understood that you all just wanted to feel safe, secure, cared about, and fantastic. So you stepped into meditation, and then that's led you on to all kinds of other discoveries.
I mean, over the past 3 decades, I'm a crystal healer, tantra practitioner. I deal with female empowerment. That a lot of women that have dealt with abuse or getting older, and they don't feel they're connected to their sexuality. They don't feel empowered, and it's not about the act. It's about you feeling complete, because when you're connected to your energy and your inner universe is strong, you stand a bit taller, you feel better, and so I work a lot with that. I just love it. And so all these different modalities, crystal healing, shamanic, and all that, were all modalities that I worked with to help me. And then I became practitioners in them, Reiki master, a trainer, and this sort of thing over the years. And then over 20 years ago, I trained as a coach, but not to be a coach at the time. It was just to be able to do the job I was doing better and turn up in life better.
What was that job, Frances?
At that time, when I did that one 20 years ago, I was still running the dance competition. That finished just before COVID. So I had a dance competition for 20 years. Amazing. And we gave over £600,000 away in performing arts scholarships. I'd never run my own business before.
So what got you into that? Because of all businesses to suddenly go into, it is like, dance. Okay, let me do that. What made you go down that road?
Well, I'd always said to Jessica, she can try anything she wants growing up, and she gets a month at it. If she decides when she wants to do it, I will buy her what she needs to have for it, but she's got to achieve something in it.
Right.
So when she went swimming, I said, yes, you want to do it. I'll get all the stuff, but you've got to get your first badge. Perfect. So she got her first badge. When she got her first, do you want to stop now or do you want to carry on? So I did things like sailing and taekwondo and everything. My mum took her dancing.
Right.
And she always loved dancing. So every time there came a level, Jessica would choose dancing.
What a lovely way of introducing so many different opportunities, but also teaching your child that they have choice, and keep doing it if you enjoy it. But if you're not, look for something else. Yeah. Fabulous. I love it.
Yeah. And it was like, also, I didn't have the money to waste on something she didn't want to do.
Right. Exactly.
But let's see if you want to do it. And then and with her dance career, I mean, she went to the Brit School, and she went to Millennium. She got a dance and drama award to go to vocational college. She's travelled the world. COVID stopped the dancing career, and now she's doing an MA with London Studios and all of them in production and direction. So she's just done what she's loved, sort of all her life. But it's teaching, if you take something on. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do, was teach her to, if you take something on, follow it through to the end.
Follow it through. And so you set up this business to just as a way of keeping your hand in with what she was doing, or because you saw an opportunity?
Yeah, it was an opportunity. I had a friend that was doing extras, so I started with an extras agency. Right. And then out of that, I did events. I started doing fashion shows for like Asda, the ones you see in the shopping malls and things like that. And then we went over to a big competition in America and all of that. And when I come back, I thought, we've got nothing like that here. I think, what was it? One of the big competitions on TV started either the year before or the year after me, something like that. And so I did it and started that way. And then it just got momentum and carried on and on and on. Fantastic. And every year I said I wasn't doing it again, but every year I did.
A familiar Yeah, I was going to say, people in business, how many times do they say, right, that's it, I'm not doing this again, especially if it's an event that they're doing.
Yeah.
But you went into coaching to help you really make that business better.
Sponsors, and also I was dealing with a lot of young kids, and
Makes
so I
sense.
just did it to be able to do my job better.
Right.
And then when COVID hit, all events stopped.
Yes.
And I'd sort of not wanted to do it for a few years. I just kept on doing it because it was what I'd been doing for a long time.
Right.
And then I thought, now I'm going to follow my dream. I'm going to do the coaching. And then through COVID, I retrained in all the way it's all grown now, and it's a different space. So I learned about past, present, future, and coding, tapping, and all of these things that now what I do with clients, we have a discovery call, find out what they want, and I can bring in whatever it is they need to take. Because I've just got this passion that we should all walk this earth being exactly who we are meant to be.
I agree. Yeah, but most of us don't realize that we have been molded by parents, by programming, by school a lot of the time. And of course, even more so now, not just by conventional media, but by social media.
Yeah.
And so we're all trying to, well, I'm saying we're all, a lot of young people particularly are really struggling to kind of find what it is that they enjoy and allow themselves to try stuff without being labeled a failure or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think everybody is here for a purpose, a reason. We don't necessarily know what it is, and it doesn't have to be massive and grand. But a lot of us spend probably not enough time discovering who we actually are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you help people to
as well, there's an era where when wasn't it good enough to be an electrician or whatever job you choose to do is good enough.
Yeah.
This celebrity, this being this and this being that. Lucky enough, my daughter did have an amazing dance career, but I always used to say to her, I don't mind what career you go into. I just want you to be respected in it. So she wasn't chasing fame. And she had an amazing career and thoroughly enjoyed it, but she didn't have the mentality that I've got to be famous to have been good at my job.
And that's, again, when we understand, ego is important. We wouldn't be still here on the planet if we didn't have ego.
Yes.
Right? But it's when it's not kind of utilized in a way that is helpful either to you or to others.
Yes.
That it's not particularly helpful. But also, I think when you enjoy what you're doing, you have an incentive to just see where it takes you, as opposed to, I have to hit this, I have to do that to prove.
Yeah.
And you gave her a very obviously safe, secure background in that she had no worries following what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
And you obviously from there have found where you excel. And that's, you do not just your coaching though, you're very much involved, aren't you, with businesses and networking and communities. So tell us a little bit more about that, because you do still put events on and you do still
I just started my first one this October on the 25th, and I've just found you're coming, so I'm over the moon. As my first proper, I'm putting an authors event together. And it's only on a smaller level at the moment, but I'm so excited about it. I've got amazing speakers coming, and I've got authors there that have got their books out there, because a lot of people write their books, but then don't know what to do about the marketing afterwards.
Correct.
And it's collectively we can share this information, because there's enough out there for us all.
Absolutely.
People read different genre of things and whatever. So I'm very excited to be back into doing an event. I do most of my coaching is on Zoom. Right. But I've been running a local networking business it's in its 12th year now. So
So, and this is an event that also has had some incredible speakers and guests and people in the community. And this is where you are giving back, but you're also enjoying the process. Yes. And I think, you mentioned earlier about that lovely Indian man, but you are doing it all of the time. You're helping people by sharing your story, by talking about what is possible. And, to say that by 3 months old, you potentially had nearly died. 5 times and every single bone in your body had been broken, that's a heck of a start in life for you to actually become the person that you are now. And what kind of people do tend to seek out your help? Who is your kind of client? Is it females? Is it men? It doesn't matter? Because I think you mentioned that you do like helping particularly women.
Yeah, it's mainly female focused. Men, in the if they turn up and we've got that, and then I'll that connection, and I feel I can work with them fine. But I would say 96% is women, and it's anybody that's feeling stuck,
right?
Anybody that talks to themselves badly, you know, and just don't give themselves a break, and they've got that monkey chatter. But I even work with people that are in a really good place. They just want to be able to see where else they can go. If somebody turns up, I meet them where they're at, and then we talk about where they want to be and what I can do to get them, you know, sort of on that path closer. And that's why I wrote the book. Just over 10 years ago, my mum died, and my auntie sent me the newspaper cutting from 1964, and it named my mum and dad, me, because there'd never been one publicised before. They put our address, they put everything on there.
Wow.
They don't know, do they?
No.
So, yeah. And see, my dad was really strong, could really look after. A few men apparently come round to sort him out, and they couldn't.
Really?
So he protected us from other people, just didn't protect us from him.
Yeah.
You know, so anybody else touch us, there would be ructions, but, you know, it was happening in the house. But my auntie sent me this newspaper cutting, and the title was The Riddle of the Baby with the Broken Bones.
Yeah.
So it got me thinking about so many different things. I remember when Jessica was pregnant with Oakley, my grandson, and I said to her, listen, let's have a look at what sort of parent I was. And she got a bit protective over me. And I said, listen, I did the best I could with what I've got, but I was still in trauma response when you were born. Right. So what can we work on? What can we do better? How can you turn up as a better mom? How can I, because me mammal, but I said a better grandmother. So we've had these amazing conversations that really enabled us both to learn from that situation.
Incredible. And this is a great way of helping people understand what you're talking about there is this generational trauma that can get passed down, and it gets passed down on a cellular level. And if you don't know that you are hanging on to it, you certainly don't know you're passing it on.
Yeah.
But the very fact that you've now done the work on it, and that obviously you and your daughter have got an open enough and a close enough relationship to be able to have those realistic, candid, honest conversations where you know the other person isn't going to take it personally or whatever. Exactly. They're just going to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
And the very fact that you're going, you know what, it stopped with me. Yeah. Once I knew that, and I don't want it to continue down the generations. It's awesome. Frances, where can people find out where you hang out? Because you're quite good on social media and put a lot out, don't you? So tell people where you are.
Well, my website's francesbentley.com, so you can go on there and find out all about the different things and events. And on social media, I'm either Frances Bentley or Coach Bentley, whichever comes up that way. But I would just like to say to anybody watching, this is the book and it's on Amazon. And the reason I wrote it is because of that newspaper cutting. And not everybody can afford coaching. So what I've done in the book, it's £15, is I've gone through a chapter of my life, and then after each chapter there's 5 questions for you to take the lesson from yours. And then there's QR codes in there, because I didn't want to put a book out there, maybe trigger somebody's trauma and have nowhere to go.
Right, exactly.
So you can go online, and I'm doing very relaxed. I've got my jumper on, just some tapping and some breath work. And then you also can go into a community if you want to and be in that space and ask questions, you know, to me. And I do intend, I haven't done it yet, to pop in there and just do some online coaching sessions, because we all need it, but not everybody can afford it. So the book gives you, for £15, a chance for you to start. And it's not a quick read. Somebody called me and said, I'm going on holiday, I've bought your book. I went, I don't think it's a holiday read.
It's not a novel. There's some work involved.
But it is inspirational, because if you were to ask me now, have I had a good life? Hell yes. You know, I've travelled the world. I've jumped out of the airplane in the sky. I've walked on the seabeds in the Bahamas. I've done this, that. I mean, I've done so many beautiful things that my dad's bad behaviour wasn't mine to keep.
I love that phrase. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And the fact that when you made a conscious decision to write the book, I mean, just doing the research and reading all of the stuff and discovering all of the things that you did from your aunt and what she wrote.
Yeah.
And I mean, what you had to work through yourself, you basically found a way of passing that on to other people in a way that's accessible. And as you say, it's not leaving them reading this stuff, identifying with it, and then going, oh, shoot, now what do I do with it? You're giving them solutions and options to trial, which is fantastic. Incredible.
It does feel good, I have to say. It feels good to put something out there that turned such a negative into such a positive. And one of the last things I'll share with you, on my book launch, my daughter wrote a poem, The Spoken Word. It's in the book, but this made my life worth living, this poem. In the middle bit, she said, don't worry, the bones will heal. It's a trauma one day that will catch up with her. And then at the end, she put, you see, she did it. The childhood she deserved, she gave to me.
Oh, wow. That gives you goosebumps, no doubt.
Yeah, even me now, I'm like, oh my God.
So if nothing else, to read that whole poem, go buy the book. And all of these links we will put, if you're watching on YouTube, they will be in the description. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, or any other podcast, you will find it in the show notes. All of the links will be clickable, so you don't have to go searching for anything. There's one thing that I always ask my guests at the end of every episode. And it's a question that, so I let you know that I'm going to ask you it in advance. And oftentimes people have an idea of how they're going to answer, and then they change their mind by the end of the podcast. So I'm going to ask you that question. The question is simply this: what's the one thing that you would like our listeners to take away from this episode?
You've got this.
You've got this. Fabulous.
All
there you go.
Turn yourself in the direction and start moving towards that, and things will open up.
What a brilliant, brilliant message to end on. And as always, folks, if you have enjoyed what you have heard, please do give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a subscribe if you haven't already. And if you think that this will be super helpful to somebody else, pass it on to them. Let them know about this podcast, because the more people we get listening, the more people, all my guests and myself can help. And I'm going to leave you with this, as I always do. We only have one life, as far as we know, and one body. So look after it, because it is looking after you. And until next time, take care of yourselves. Thank you, Frances.